until 1995, in fact, music was completely a hobby for us. It was never either of our intentions that it would become a career. That was kind of a lucky break, really. Having the interest and backing of Warp, and also, you know, enough musical work coming in that we could survive purely by doing it.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's obviously hopeful because it's a great, it's sort of a great job to have. But I don't think we saw it as a career or a sort of way forward. It was something we just loved. So no, I don't think it crossed my mind that I'd be doing it in 20 years. So yeah, we've been pretty lucky to still be doing it and still enjoying it.
Yeah, the film projects were quite different in the approach, in that we were working with the director, who obviously had a very clear idea of what he was trying to get from the movies, and so we were trying to meet his expectations. I mean, we were very lucky. He did give us quite a lot of freedom with the compositions. Sometimes there would be temp tracks, which were fortunately in general our earlier pieces of our music, in terms of guiding us in a particular direction or emotion, but it's much more specific. Working on our own project, obviously we can do what we want.
Yeah, it's obviously it's less personal because you've got a whole team that you have to satisfy ultimately, as producers and directors and various other people. One is working in a big team and the other is just us two, so it's very different. We've been lucky with Warp, really. When we signed to them, it was with Rob, who was one of the co-founders, who sadly died a few years ago from illness. Steve's carried it on and managed to, you know, keep the company going. But they've always been very, very good to us, and given us free rein with albums, and they don't push us too hard on deadlines. And they've also managed to sign enough diverse new artists to keep the label current and still fresh, and also financially viable. So many other electronic labels from the early 90s disappeared because obviously this music goes in and out of fashion, or electronic music kind of goes in and out of fashion. So no, we've been lucky to be with them for so long.
I think that was really incredibly overblown by the media. There were a few isolated incidents. That was basically, you know, kids. You know, it was generally sub 20-year-olds, a few hardened criminals, perhaps, initiating some of the more salacious stuff, the break-ins to the shops. It's been really, it's been ridiculously kind of overhyped. I mean, not literally after the first incident, which was in Wood Green, which is an area very close to where I live. There was a live riot watch on the BBC website. BBC being the main broadcaster in the UK, and I mean, almost to the point that it was inciting more events of the same kind. And I think I've been slightly sickened by the responses of the politicians. You know, this kind of attitude that you know, kids of today, you know, God, you know, it's terrible, why are they like this? And, you know, these people have created the environment that says life is about making money and about these, you know, they've allowed consumerism to go rife, you know, and given this expectation to the youth that in order to have made it, you know, you've got to be wearing the right clothes, and this is what's important about life. You know, this all happened in the 80s. This is like a result of the Conservative government in the 80s. And the repercussions of it is now that the children who have grown up in this environment now act like this, and you know, then the grown-ups say, oh, well, you know, why are the kids acting like this? You know, why? What can they possibly? How can they possibly act like this? And it's the result of the actions of those same adults, you know, who sort of created this lust for money.
The sense of society is very fractured and very unloving, and a lot of it is down to sort of commercialisation of society, where every aspect of society is about money and is about, you know, further profit or increased profit. So it's not really surprising. I mean, we tend to have riots every 10 years or every 20 years anyway. And you know, a riot is basically people venting their anger and getting some stuff. I mean, you've had them in Paris as well, so which I think was a very similar scenario, except I don't think there was quite as much looting maybe in Paris. But yeah, it was definitely slightly overblown by the media. But there's a reason those people did what they did. There's not necessarily a particularly great excuse for it, but there are reasons for it, and those reasons are all our responsibility.
I think we're generally in a fairly optimistic phase at the moment. It was very enjoyable to be, on the whole, working on some new material.
Well, yeah, we write the music to make ourselves feel better generally, so I think that's, even if we were in a pretty poor state before or afterwards, the music kind of helps improve us.
Maybe it moves through different emotions across the record, but I'd say for us it's not quite as dark and aggressive as some of our previous. We've never been particularly aggressive, but it's gentler. There's one track that definitely nods to it, although I think it's slightly more psychedelic than dubstep in terms of the space of the instrumentation. It's dubstep tends to be quite dry in terms of the effects. You know, it's very precise, and it's a much more open space. I think that it's definitely a nod to it, to that genre. As little as possible, really, hopefully. I mean, we definitely keep abreast of new music. We DJ sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, when you hear stuff that influences you, there's no way around it, and we both sort of hear music that impresses us and inspires us. In terms of sort of direct influence, it's always hard to say what's caused what. But yeah, I think whenever you hear anything, it has. You either decide you don't like it, or you decide you do like it. Or at the best of times, you just don't pass judgment, and it just is. But yeah, I wouldn't say there's one particular style of music that is affecting us at the moment. It's pretty diverse.
It would be great to still be writing music. I mean, it's a very pleasurable occupation.
Yeah, I'd hope that we'd probably both be involved in music some way, but we might be, I don't know, might not be actually making music, but we might be really high-powered record executives earning millions of pounds a year.
Yeah, that's going to happen.